Oh, and Kate's here as well, looks like. So.
Great, so we'll start, yeah?
Oh, sorry.
Sorry for the delay.
Sorry, Marta, we just couldn't hear you there.
No, it's okay, yeah.
Hi there. So I apologize. Sorry for being late.
It's all good, yeah.
Picking the kids up from daycare.
Happens.
Marta, are you okay if I let everyone in now?
Yes, please, yeah.
Perfect, thanks.
So I need this to speak because I'm off. If I do really speak. And just push that in.
Okay, welcome everybody to Nanaimo Design Advisory Panel, September 25th, 2025. First off, I'd like to welcome everybody here, and I'd like to get a motion to approve today's agenda. Oh, yeah, Angie, and seconder Alex. Thank you very much. Okay, we have two presentations this evening, one at 641 Milton Street and one at 3397 Tuna Road. Peyton Carter, as our planner, will introduce 641 Milton Street, after which the panel will have the opportunity to ask questions, followed by the presentation and panel comments and questions. So please go ahead, Peyton.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just before I begin, if you are a member of the design panel team, if you could please have your screen turned on so we can see you, that would be great. And if you are an applicant or a presenter this evening, if you could have your name changed to your first and last name for minute taking, that would be great. Thank you so much. Now to the development permit presentation. DP application number 1391 is for a multifamily development consisting of 8 units. The site is currently undergoing a concurrent rezoning application to rezone from R14 to R15 with a site-specific floor area ratio. The lot falls within Development Permit Area 4, our Abandoned Mine Workings Hazard Development Permit Area, and Development Permit Area 8, our Form and Character Development Permit Area. As such, our Form and Character Design Guidelines apply to this development. As the Chair said, I'm happy to take any questions following the applicant's presentation. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Peyton. Okay, and who will be presenting this evening?
I'll start the presentation and then hand it over to Courtney. My name is Vince Ameo. I'm the principal at Architrave Architecture. I'm here with Courtney Fiquette, the project lead, and she'll present our proposed design for 641 Milton. And yeah, after that, I'll look forward to your comments and discussion. So over to you, Courtney.
Sorry, Courtney, you are muted.
Just bear with her for a moment. I'm sure she's...
There we go.
There you go.
Now?
Yeah, okay. I can hear you.
So as Peyton said, the site is 641 Milton Street. It's located in the Old City neighborhood close to downtown Nanaimo. Milton is the border between R14 and R15. So the site is located on the south side of Milton in R14, zoned as low density Old City residential, which allows up to 4 units and is 3 stories tall. So both the buildings we propose each have 4 units and are 3 stories. So this is the current site, shown right here, 64 Milton. So the there's older single-story homes on the neighboring lots to the east. and there's the newer 3-story buildings, including a triplex next door to the west of the lot. So because this lot is double the width of the neighboring lots, and to maintain the streetscape of narrow side-by-side residences of the neighborhood, like Peyton said, we're applying for rezoning to R14 to allow for the second 4-unit building. This increase in density is desired and outlined in the official community plan, and it's highlighted by Milton Street being designated as a mobility collector. So I'll just zoom into the site over here. So there's separate hedging and low-level planting screen each building from Milton Street in order to mimic the traditional residence and private yard of the neighbors. There's a shared pedestrian access off Milton Street and is framed by a cedar trellis with the address number, and it runs between the buildings down the center of the lot and connects with the parking. Off-street parking is accessed off Sophia Lane from the south, and we're providing 4 small car and 4 regular parking stalls, total of 8 parking stalls, 1 for each unit. There's also covered bicycle storage is proposed for 8 to 10 bikes along the west path, sloping path which also spans between Milton and Sophia. We have patios for the ground floor units and decks for the main floor units to provide outdoor space for everybody. So project summary over here, we're proposing 1-bedroom, 2-bedroom, and 4-bedroom units in each building in order to accommodate a range of family sizes. Each unit has an individual private entrance accessed off the shared paths. The 4 ground floor units from the central courtyard are landscaped with perennials and grasses, and the 2-bedroom and 4-bedroom units from the main floor are accessed from the paths with wooden steps leading to above-grade porches facing Milton Street and Sophia Lane to embody the residential character from both streetscapes, the street and the lane as well. The architecture detailing is intended to reinforce the traditional residential character, and each residence incorporates exposed timbers, wood detailing of stairs and railings, and roof dormers with wide barge and fascia boards in order to provide visual interest to each of the facades. We have vertically oriented single hung window proportions and robust wood trim in order to further reinforce the residential character, as does the painted horizontal wood siding and the asphalt roofing we're proposing. So we have low bollard lighting proposed to illuminate the private pathways and guide the residents to their respective entries, all while illuminating and the entries themselves are illuminated by wall-mounted sconces. To avoid large retaining walls, dark ground floor patios, and even more steps to the pedestrian path, we're proposing ground floor access to relate closely with Milton Street. To do that, we are requesting and so with
Sorry,
the
Courtney, you cut out there. Could you just go back a couple sentences? Sorry.
Oh yeah, sure. I'll just start here. So to avoid tall retaining walls and dark ground floor patios, and even more steps from the pedestrian path, we're proposing the ground floor entries to relate closely, or we're intending the ground floor access to the entries to relate closely with Milton Street, and to do that, requesting a 2-foot height variance. So that ends up being close to the height of the neighbors to the west. And by setting the buildings back farther from the street than the neighbors, we're avoiding the additional height from towering over the street. So if our rezoning permit's granted, the new property line from Milton will move in 4.2 meters into the lot, moving the front yard setback farther into the lot. So to maintain the landscape buffers off Milton Street, off Sophia Lane, and between parking and the buildings, we're proposing a 2.26 meter front yard setback as well. And that's intended to keep the facade relating to Milton Street, but is still setting the buildings back farther than the neighbors. And as Peyton mentioned, we're also proposing a site-specific FAR as recommended by her in order to accommodate the reduction in lot size if our rezoning permit is granted. And so our intention with the project is to provide comfortable and pleasant housing options in this location that's close to transit and to the downtown area, while still maintaining the unique heritage character of the Old City neighborhood. And so this is our project. We'll welcome any comments or questions that you have.
Thank you, Courtney. And just before we proceed, do we have a landscape architect on board?
Yes, we do. Alyssa from Prospect Refuge, and she's joined us as well.
Yeah. And I can give you a quick walkthrough of the landscape.
Yes, please.
Courtney, do you have my plans in there too? Yeah.
Yes, I do.
Yeah. So the the design intent is really to support the character of the neighborhood and to provide some softening and delight within the the central courtyard area, and create a nice experience for the residents, and also to look for some opportunities for habitat creation using some indigenous plants and habitat producing plants. So we've got we've really tried to sort of like fit in some nice little trees. The front boulevard got squeezed a little bit with the setback, but we have space for some columnar trees in there, and then some screening at the lane, and the storage of the parking off the side. If you go to our materials plan, Courtney, or maybe go to our details, and we've got the intention is to do a 6-foot wood fence along the property line.
I can stop sharing, and do you want to open?
Yeah, do you want me to share? That's probably easier.
Yeah, that would probably help navigate as you explain the
Okay.
project.
Yeah, that's great. Ding, ding. Okay. There we go. Sure. Okay, can you guys see that?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Yes.
great. Okay. So the intention is for the the side yards beyond the front yard setback to have this 6-foot privacy fence, and then to use a picket fence for the front yard to help with creating a more that more friendly front yard experience. And if I go to our sections, you can kind of see what that looks like here. So we've got the little picket fences here. We've got the some hedging and some lower ornamental shrubs in the front. And then we've got the trellises between to announce the entrance and provide an address marker and wayfinding. And the idea is to use high quality durable materials, like concrete pavers, because they have a nice residential feel, wood and metal for the trellises to kind of support the architecture. And then the offsite is unresolved at this point, so it kind of depends on what we hear from engineering about, you know, it'll be a temporary condition for now until that gets resolved, until obviously it'll be a while before construction happens out on the street, but that's, you know, so we're just showing it as grass for now, but I think that'll evolve as we get further into the project. And yeah, I think those are the main things to discuss. You know, we're trying to make it sort of a more interesting little courtyard by creating a little central planting bed and focusing on seasonal plants for you know, for change and interest throughout the year. Thanks.
Thank you, Alyssa.
I'll stop sharing.
Okay, so now we'd like to open the floor for the panel to ask questions of the city. Would anybody like to ask any questions? Yep, Councillor Armstrong, please.
Yeah, my question is on the wooden sidewalk, because I'm very concerned about that for slip issues and accidents. I myself just slipped on one, broke my wrist in 3 spots because they become extremely slippery in any frost or rain. So has that been looked at?
Who wants to discuss that? It's probably not a good idea. So there are some, obviously some, it's a process, of course, right? And the color is nice, but I totally agree. That's not something I would, in the
Yeah.
end,
I'm very concerned about that, and I'll raise that when it comes to the council table as well, because you're opening yourself up for liability. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you for that.
Does anyone have any questions for the city? Okay, Kate, please.
Yeah, I just want to confirm the package we received doesn't match the drawings that were shared today with regards to the setback. I just want to confirm it's were we reviewing an old package?
Well, that's a good point.
Thank you, Kate. And through the chair, we did receive revised plans this afternoon, just after 3 o'clock. However, I was away from my desk, so the package you have is a bit out of date. But our online What's Building page will be updated with the revised package tomorrow.
Perfect. So just to confirm, the old ones had no setback, and these new ones have quite a bit of a setback from the street. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Yeah.
Thank you.
Good catch, Kate. Okay, anybody else? Questions for the city? Angie, please.
Yeah, I think it ties into maybe Kate's question as well, just around the setbacks. But within a setback, what are the limitations of what they can put in there? Is there still like landscaping that can happen there, or parking spaces, or just no built structures, or what are those limitations?
Yeah, thank you, Angie. And through the chair, yeah, no structures are permitted in the setbacks, but landscaping, parking, and fencing would be permitted.
Thank you.
Thank you, Peyton. Okay, so then Alyssa, you have your some comment. You can address that, I guess, in the future. Anybody else with comments for or questions for the city? Okay, so we'll open things up for questions and feedback from the panel. And Rana, I think Kate needs to leave a little earlier today, so we'll start with you, if that's all right. Please go ahead.
Was that me, sorry?
Yes, please.
Okay, perfect. You're very, I don't know if it's just me, you're very soft sounding. It's just hard to hear.
Okay, I'll be louder. How's that? Okay.
Thank you. Yeah, great. Thank you for the presentation. I really appreciate the attention that's been paid to the planting, and I appreciate it's a challenging site with 2 buildings in a very narrow, full shade area. My questions are, I know that there's a request for the height variance, and it looks to me like there is no universal access to any of the units right now. They're all stairs. And I wonder if it could be looked into, I guess that would increase the height variance, but losing those 4 steps, so it's not so much of a sunken courtyard between the 2 buildings, and that would then allow for universal access to the 2 lower studios.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this is a really interesting question, and we've kind of struggled with that. We were concerned about, asking for too much of a height variance, but it is totally doable. We could have level access pretty much into all the, well, I mean, the units then themselves would have to become, accessible per se, but yeah, it just becomes a little easier to wheel in and out of those, even if they're not 100% accessible within the unit themselves. So that's just a discussion that has been ongoing, but we just decided, I guess it's just that it's the height variance we were just worried to be pushing the limit on that. And you do, yeah, anyway, so yeah, I'd be just curious as to more thoughts on that from the rest of the panel, if anybody else would, how you feel about that. I mean, the building is set back quite a ways, so it probably could handle that variance. It would also improve the drainage because we're trying to daylight the water through, and now we have a little bit, even that little bit of, 2 or 3 steps down has caused a little bit of concern with the civil. They're kind of saying, well, is that if you could, but I mean, they're done all the time in the neighborhood. There's anyway, so there you go. That's all I have to say about that for the moment.
He asked for comments back, so I got some.
Yeah,
Whatever.
when you're ready, after
Yeah, I'm good, whatever.
Okay, please continue, Kate.
I don't think she heard you.
Kate, are you, please continue, yeah.
If she leaves, do we lose
I
quorum?
think
It looks like Kate's logged off the meeting, so we can proceed to the next panel member.
We still have quorum, so we're okay. And Councillor Armstrong, you may proceed.
Yeah, I just wanted to echo what Kate had said. I sit on the accessibility committee, and that's something we hear a lot of, that there's not a lot of accessible units. So my question would be, what would the, how much more of a height variance do you think you would need?
Kate or Courtney?
2 feet.
We're at 2 feet now,
About
though.
4 6-inch rises to get from the lower center courtyard to Milton. So an additional 2 feet of height.
So 4 feet in total.
Yeah.
Yeah, just seems like a lot, but
And I guess I'm gonna have to go by and look, because I don't think ocean views would be impeded by any of that, because that would be a big concern from the neighborhood, but I don't think that's an issue. Thank you.
oh, okay.
I mean, I would be very supportive of looking at that, and I believe other councillors would as well. Thanks.
Oh, great. Okay, good to know. Thank you.
Councillor Armstrong, can you confirm you don't have any more questions or comments? Okay, thank you. Angie, please go ahead.
Yeah, sounds good. Yeah, thanks a lot for the presentation. I think this is a really great use of this property and kind of a nice balanced density building development for this area. I really like the roof lines and the covered entries, the wood accents. I think it does tie in well to the neighborhood. I know a lot of the buildings, like a lot of the houses on this section of the street, are actually like a white or an off-white, and so it does tie in well with that. But I kind of would like to see a little pop of color if there was ways to kind of introduce that. But
Okay.
there's some nice, blues and reds and whatnot in the old city that are yeah, that can just really make the buildings pop, which I think is really nice, and may differentiate them a little bit as well. So that could be nice. In terms of the accessibility, that was kind of something I was wondering about as well, as if there was an opportunity even just to, even without modifying maybe the height variance as much, if there was an opportunity to swap the 4 steps for like a smaller ramp, or if the grade would allow for that there, or maybe there's a balance between increasing the height and putting in a ramp for 2 steps or something like that. So maybe that's something that kind of ties into that conversation of, looking into the elevations.
For sure.
But yeah, I think it's a great opportunity with having those 1-bedroom suites on the ground floor. There's the opportunity there to make that work if it all works out. Yeah, I think this plan is a little bit like Kate had mentioned, it's a little bit different than the one we had. So I don't know if the parking is quite the same. I know there's I believe there's a parking variance for 3 spots for this one. And I think for the 1 and 2 bedroom units, the one vehicle makes sense. I think it's, for me, it's the 4 bedroom units. I'm having a hard time wrapping my head around one parking spot. Just because I think there could be cases where you have 4 cars for 4 different university students or something, for young people, whatever it might be. Which certainly we don't want to put 4 spots in for every 4 bedroom, but I think 2 is kind of striking that balance. So I was trying to look at the plans and look at if there was a way to squeeze in even 1 or 2 more additional parking spots. And it looks like it has changed a little bit, but previously we had there was like a gravel garbage area and then some landscaping behind. And I wondered if that swapped over to the other side, if there was room to maybe squeeze in 1 more parking stall. But I know I know you're working with the setbacks, but I think if there was an opportunity to squeeze in 1 or maybe 2 more parking stalls for those 4 bedroom suites, I think that would really be beneficial to this development. And I feel like they would be used. I know it's hard with the elevation. This site's a little bit challenging, I think, in a few different directions, but yeah, if there's a way to do that, I think it would be really beneficial here.
Okay.
Just the difference in plan that you're looking at, the number of stalls is still the same, but we've proposed adding 2 more small car parking instead of, and 2 less regular car parking. So that's the difference. I think in adding an additional parking stall or 2, even, there probably isn't the space, and you'd definitely be compromising the landscape buffers that the Old City guidelines ask for. And there is still street parking as well proposed, or not proposed, but on the Milton side, even with rezoning, there's still a lane for street parking. And I think, Vince, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but just your comment to, like, if the 4 bedroom units are rented for university students, I think the intention of this project is to accommodate a range of family sizes for people that don't typically have access. So it's not necessarily trying to rent every single bedroom out to a university student for the 4 bedroom units. It's more trying to give larger families who maybe are a little bit more limited in income and limited in their housing options, giving them a place to stay that is closer to schooling and close to downtown and different amenities. But I appreciate your comments on the parking.
Yeah, I think even in a family scenario, there's probably a lot of families would have 2 vehicles. Some maybe not, and some maybe have no vehicles. So I like the idea that, like, this is a really accessible location to bus routes and everything else as well. So I think that there is an opportunity to, there may be scenarios where some residents don't have a vehicle, which is great to see as well. I've seen a lot of these the 4 bedroom townhomes in some of the newer developed areas, and the street parking is just horrendous with all the vehicles. And so I think it's something, particularly for the 4 bedroom units, which is so great to see, by the way. We rarely see, some of the bigger units of the 3 and 4 bedroom so it's really nice to see that. But I do think, yeah, they're more likely than not, there may be 2 vehicles with that as well. So I think, yeah, if there's street parking up front, that certainly helps. I guess just, yeah, in terms of when you're looking at it, and I guess, yeah, I'm not sure what the limitations are with the landscape buffer on the laneway side. But if there is an opportunity to have a variance there to not have as much of a landscape buffer and have another parking space, I think that maybe there's something there that could, like a balance that could be struck there.
Well, we'll give it a try. I mean, it's like we have tried, honestly, we've tried it. And we're trying to keep everything in balance. And we are kind of relying on the street parking being available for a while because the area hasn't really developed yet. I mean, there's a lot of single family houses and they all have their own parking and but having said that, we'll certainly give it another look if it's maybe a trade-off and we say, well, bit less landscaping and maybe make them all small car on one side, or I don't know. Some parking is better than none, but So yeah, so to that, we'll give it a go. You mentioned the ramps possibly, yeah, and that may be. We did try ramping. It's a bit hard to make the ramps work gracefully somehow. I mean, it's a, you know, to be fully accessible. And then your comment about color, I really love that. Like I'm all for that. I mean, I agree. The buildings are shown as white, you know, or a light color with wood accents. But you know, when you walk around the neighborhood, the color schemes on some of the buildings, the old buildings, are just beautiful. Like because they include, you know, a dark tone of some kind, and then a lighter version, you know, on an upper half, and then accented with wood or black or white trim, and you know, they're striking. So I mean, we'll give that we'll give that some thought actually, and you know,
Yeah, sounds
maybe
good.
another scheme coming, and then they could be different, you know, somewhat different colors as well. And I love the idea of color. Not people
Yeah.
don't do enough of it. 100%.
It's yeah, it's like the old city has a lot of beautiful color there, and
Absolutely, yeah. No, I agree.
I think otherwise that's most of my comments there. One alternative to adding an additional stall is if there was an accessible suite that was able to come about, maybe one of the stalls could be increased to be an accessible parking stall. So maybe there's a few different angles to kind of look at that, but yeah, I think overall I think this is a really great a great development for the area, and with the 2 feet variance, I'm not concerned with for this particular site. So I think that's worth it to get the yeah, just to not have it sunken down too much and everything else, and maybe that'll change.
Okay, thank you, Angie.
Thank you.
Kate, I noticed that you've popped back. Did you get a
Sorry
chance to
about that.
finish all your comments, or?
I think so. Sorry, I have a bad connection today. I apologize. No, I think so. I think, yeah, it was the bike racks, the accessible access, and then the only other one was just a recommendation that some of the planting bed shapes are quite thin and narrowing points. And so I'd recommend just making sure the planting areas, because it is such a tight courtyard area, are, you know, maybe combined and larger so that you make sure you don't end up with just people cutting corners and it being a dirt path.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was the only one.
Sorry, Kate, I didn't catch your earlier comment about bike racks. Well, what was that exactly?
Oh, I must have dropped off. Just that I noticed that they're right next to someone's bedroom or dining room. So just maybe recommending looking at what that would be like to have the window look right out onto the bike rack area. So potentially exploring if you could shift them slightly down so they're closer to the washroom or something, so you don't have your window right there.
That's actually the window above, for the unit above. The
Oh,
ground floor units are
perfect.
on either side of the bike rack, and then there are windows in the upper units above looking down on the covered roof, but not
Great.
actually into the bike.
Well, thanks for clarifying that.
Yeah.
Good, I noticed it.
Good point, though.
Great. Yeah. Cheers.
Okay, so we can strike that one, yeah? Okay.
You can start that one. Yeah, thanks for clarifying.
Great, thanks, Kate. Okay, Alex, please.
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. Yeah, I like the interior courtyard. I think it's nice, you know. It's private, but it also allows you to connect with your neighbors and nice landscaping. I thought the lighting was thoughtful. Yeah, really the only comment other than that I have is the variance of the parking. To me, I think it makes sense, basically due to the proximity to downtown. Like it's a very walkable area. So it's not like shooting off any alarms to me, but yeah, I think it's a good design. Also, I will agree with the other member of the panel with color. I think adding a little color would be good. No harm in that. But yeah, I think it looks nice, and I think the massing of the building will fit in really nicely with the existing neighborhood. I think it'll blend in pretty good. So yeah, thank you very much.
Great, thank you.
Great, thank you, Alex. And Harry?
Yeah, thanks for the presentation. I agree with a lot of the panel's comments, especially the color variations between the buildings. I also wanted to ask why you chose like wood siding, like it's old school. I know it's in the old city, but did you not consider like hardy plank or for less maintenance, and it's highly resistant to fire also, right? So
Yeah.
something to think about there.
Okay.
Also, I think we need some like vertical aspects, like hardy shingle or board and batten, like above the window to give it some more, above the upper window to give it like windows to give it some more character there, instead of over the horizontal siding. I think that it would, and then it would give it that old city charm, right?
Right.
Good with the parking and height variance. I think it's a cool little project for sure. Yeah, that's all I got. Thanks for your presentation.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Okay, thank you, Harry. And lastly, a few comments just from me. Thank you very much for the sensitive approach to this site. I do think the way the site is laid out is very conscious of the neighborhood and its surroundings. You guys packed a lot of punch into a very small site. So it's very impressive that you're able to maintain the character of the neighborhood in that way. I do agree with the other panel members about having unimpeded access on the ground floor. And so I am also in support of the 2-foot variance, adding up to a 4-foot total if there is backing from the city as well. It doesn't need to be, maybe just in my opinion, but it doesn't need to necessarily be handicap accessible in the traditional sense where the bathroom gets beefed up and everything else, but just to have something where you can go from the sidewalk and directly into your suite unimpeded is a wonderful thing to have for many people, including people with strollers and people of all kinds of abilities. So I think that's a wonderful, wonderful thing.
Great. Good to hear it.
So thank you very much. We have a record-breaking small amount of comments this evening. Oh, sorry, one more, sorry, I apologize. Councillor Armstrong just has a few more comments, so we will add to the list as needed.
Yeah, I should probably wait till the end, because once I hear from the panel, then my mind gets rooking. Obviously, those that know me know I'm a big person about parking, because there's so many issues without having enough parking spots. When you talk about street parking in that area, we have many, many petitions about the lack of parking on that street. So some of them are only 2-hour spots, so to say that you're going to use street parking would be very problematic from my perspective. The winning factor for me in this is the fact that you are supplying 4 bedrooms. Like that, I can overlook the parking issue. That's just me, because I think that's very valuable, and we don't have enough of those in the community. So I would rather trade bedrooms for parking. So, but I do agree, if you could find a couple more spots, that would be extremely valuable. I do really like the fact that it was brought up by Kate and the other panel members, that accessibility, and I agree, it doesn't have to be necessarily a wheelchair, but if you're looking for seniors, instead of a lot of them end up having to move into walkers, so having a walker, just having that straight access would be great. And then again, like I said before, I'm just worried about the wooden sidewalk. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Armstrong. Okay, that's wonderful. So we have, and correct me if I'm wrong, it seems like we have 6 comments here for tonight and 6 recommendations to consider. So number 1, please consider universal access or unimpeded access for the lower floors, assuming the additional 2 feet of height variance amounting to 4 feet total would be allowed by the city. Second, introducing additional color. And also, I didn't mention this one in my comments, but the massing, because it's only one color, really, it does seem kind of chunky. So maybe the color can be used to break it up a little bit, add a little bit of relief. Third comment, squeezing in an additional 1 or 2 parking spots, or in lieu of that, converting one of the spots to an accessible parking stall. And number 4, planting beds, ensuring that they are wide enough to be able to sustain plants. Number 5, consider a fire-resistant panel for siding. I quite like that you guys chose wood instead of vinyl. So I think it's a lovely, lovely material to be using. However, please also consider the fire-resistant panel per comments. And the 6th and last comment is consider using a variety of cladding textures to give some more character. And maybe, Harry, you can kind of help me in on exactly how you'd like to word this.
Yes, you can get you can get staggered hardy shingles, or you can get hardy board and batten. You can get straight shingles. Yeah, just to so you don't have all horizontal. You got some vertical aspects in it too, right?
Okay, so consider vertical as well as horizontal elements for your cladding.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, I didn't hear too much objection to the variances. Is there anybody here who feels opposed to any of the variances proposed here? I see a lot of heads shaking. Okay, if I haven't missed anything, we have 6 recommendations. Can we move to accept the project as presented with the 6 variances sorry, the 6 recommendations and variances as presented? Can we have a motion? Yes, Harry, and seconder. Do we have a seconder? Angie, thank you very much. Okay, thank you all. Okay.
Did you have to call the vote?
No? Okay. So thank you very much. Okay, and that's it. Thank you very much for your presentation, Vince and Courtney. Yep, thank you.
Thank you
Oh,
so
and
much.
Alyssa, yep, yep.
You have to call the vote.
Yeah, appreciate all your comments. Thank you very much. Okay, I guess we can sign off then?
You have to call the vote.
Bye.
Yes, okay, we're good to go?
Yes, thank you.
Okay, thank you. We're off.
Thank you.
Okay, yep, thank you. Okay, so now our second presentation of the evening is 3397 Tuna Road. And Peyton, could you please introduce the project?
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. Development permit application number DP1392 is a multifamily development consisting of 34 townhouse units within 7 buildings. The site is currently undergoing a concurrent rezoning application to rezone the property from single-family residential R1 to row house residential R7 to facilitate the development. The property falls within Development Permit Area 8, our Forming Character Development Permit Area. As such, our Forming Character design guidelines apply to this development. I'm happy to take any questions following the applicant's presentation. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you very much. And who will be presenting this evening?
Hi, I will start the presentation and then pass it to my colleagues.
Sorry, and your name is shown as Matt. Can I?
It is Maria. Sorry, I'm not that great with technologies and I didn't figure out yet how to change it. I'll do better for next time. So I am Maria from DHK Architects, and
Okay.
with me are Nick, the lead designer for the project, and Glenn, the principal of the firm. We also have Payman here, the owner and developer for the project. McKinsey, our landscape architect from Durain Krug. And as Peyton mentioned, so the current, I'll start sharing my screen, just a moment. Oh, Okay, it says to be quit and reopen. Sorry, just a second. I may have to rejoin the meeting because to share the screen, it asked me to restart it. Is that okay? Sorry about that.
That's okay, Maria. Just take your time. Yep, you can pop out. Sorry, Councillor Armstrong just notified me that I omitted to state the all in favor aspect of the last project. Can we just put our hands up that we're all in favor of the last project going through? Thank you very much. And thank you, Councillor Armstrong. Just wanted to check in with Kate if I'm going to ask you to be the first person to provide comments, and hopefully there'll be enough time for you, okay?
Sounds great. Okay. Yeah, I can stay on until after drop off.
Okay.
She come back in yet?
Oh, Maria Turner, yeah. Not sharing your screen. There's a couple instances of her actually.
Yeah. See, that's to me is problematic from a professional standpoint. Like if I was the owner, it's like, how come this person can't do this?
Oh.
You know what I mean?
Oh, the technology?
Yeah.
Oh, that's okay. That happens all the time.
Hi.
Hi, Maria. Okay, welcome back.
Sorry about that.
No, that's all right. Just, it happens to everyone. Yeah. Sorry.
Yeah, good. I mentioned at the beginning, I'm not that great with technology, so sorry. And okay. As Peyton mentioned, so this property is rezoned to R7 row house lot just currently. So it is supporting medium density, street-oriented townhouse development consistent with the area future suburban neighborhood land use. The site is located near Uplands Drive, an area planned for slightly higher density.
Sorry, Maria, will you be sharing screen?
Oh, yes.
Okay.
You don't see the screen?
No.
Oh. Do you?
Now we do. Okay. Yeah,
Okay,
perfect.
great.
You got it.
Okay. Okay, great. So here we are. Okay. So this is our site. And we also work closely with Newcastle Engineering team to establish road alignments and grades that follow natural slopes. With the property private driveway aligned with Tana Road and Opal Street intersection right here. The proposed floor area ratio and site coverage comply with the allowable limits. Parking and bicycle requirements are fully met. And with that, I will hand it over to Nick, who will walk you through the design in more detail.
Thank you, Maria.
Thanks, Maria. Perhaps if you could just keep your screen shared, it might be easier, and then I'll talk through the sheets. As Maria said, this application proposes a multifamily residential development comprising of 34 units clustered over 7 separate buildings. And as mentioned, access to the site is via a new private driveway off Tana Road. There are 4 dwelling unit types, each with their own individual layout with open concept living areas. And they offer 1 to 4 bedrooms with 1 to 2 car garages. In terms of the site design and layout, the existing site grades generally slope down from the west corner to the east corner along Tana Road, and the natural site topography has been maintained for the proposed development. The buildings have been positioned to respond to this topography and orientation and grading, and each building varies in orientation, but each have features that maximize natural daylight and minimize solar gain. For example, generous glazing, large roof, and balcony overhangs. Each building consists of stepped dwelling units that follow the natural grades of the site. And these have been designed with 2- and 3-story facades that address the sloping site from front to back. And the stepped floor plates within each building create a visual interest whilst minimizing site excavation. Primary entrances and garages are located along the private driveway, with the exception of the 6 lower level units to buildings 5 and 6, which have their entrances facing Tunner Road. In terms of the building design and their form and character, we've created a consistent and distinctive design language to the development, and the buildings have been designed with traditional sloped roofs that reflect the adjoining neighbourhood. And the architectural design is defined by a distinct vertical appearance, as you can see in this 3D view, which shows the view as you enter the site from Tunner Road. The visual impact of each building has been reduced by breaking up the massing with individual sloped roofs and fin walls enveloping each unit. And the buildings are designed as fairly simple forms with limited articulation, and visual interest is created by the projecting fin walls, setback facades and overhanging roofs. These fin walls and roof overhangs frame each unit and are a key design element which give each unit a distinct vertical and setback appearance and definition to the elevations, as well as wrapping each building as a whole. And these and the full width balconies provide solar shading and privacy between each dwelling unit. Feature balconies that span between these fin walls offer generous external decks, providing a visual and physical connection to the shared and private outside spaces. Simple articulation of the facades limits corners and junctions and potential thermal bridging. And with the glazing area and the arrangement of windows and doors, these are designed to be within the allowable maximum unprotected openings and maximize natural daylight and ventilation into the rooms. And with the use of varying materials and projecting elements and framing around the windows, this gives additional visual interest to the facades. In terms of the height variances, we are requesting variances that are needed to maintain a continuous roofline and a consistent design across the site. And because the buildings step down with the natural grade, some roof peaks extend slightly above the height limit when measured from the average grade. And even though the original building scale remains consistent with the neighbourhood. And as you can see on these elevations, we've highlighted the additional height variances required for each building. And a 1 metre variance is requested for buildings 1, 2, 3 and 7, and with a slightly larger 1.7 metre variance required for building 4. This being because this is the longest building and steps the most with the site grade. These variances are not a result of making the buildings larger, but simply responding to the sloping site. And maintaining continuous roof lines across the stepped units is important to ensure that the buildings have a cohesive and intentional appearance, rather than one that feels fragmented. For the units facing Tunner Road, we're also requesting a 2.5 metre height variance to allow for the roof deck access. These roof decks provide valuable private outdoor space, and the small stair access structures are carefully integrated into the roofline to minimise their visibility from the street. Moving on to materials, External materials are going to be of high quality and have a natural appearance and colour, but durable and should require limited maintenance. The careful selection of materials contributes to the architectural character of this development and creates a cohesive visual appearance. The uses of muted green and brown tones along with natural wood look plank siding we feel visually harmonises the buildings within the site landscaping and surrounding neighbourhood. Each building itself has its own character by way of variation in use of materials, as mentioned before, facade treatments and window arrangements. And we're using a mix of vertical and horizontal siding elements to express various elements of the elevation. The use of exposed concrete has been minimised and used only where the grades dictate. It's been deliberately expressed to provide architectural simplicity and interest rather than using siding materials which would need to be stepped and have complex detailing adjacent to the ground. The street interface with regard to the two buildings that face onto Tunner Road, these provide a distinct street frontage with direct pedestrian access from a new sidewalk. The lower level units are set back from the street with a generous landscape buffer and provide private amenity space. The upper level units within these two buildings are accessed from the new road within the site and include a roof deck, as mentioned earlier, as their dedicated amenity space, which overlooks the public space within the site. Each dwelling unit within the site has an entrance that is either brought forward or set back from the main building facade, and these are defined by overhanging upper floors or feature canopies. Minimal grade variation between the road and entrances provides easy level access. Exterior lighting will be provided within the site, and in terms of lighting, the entrances within these overhanging soffits. In terms of site access and amenities, the site includes pedestrian walkways, a centrally located shared space with seating and landscaping, and a communal parking area with bicycle racks and mailboxes adjacent to the site entrance. The natural grades of the site enable easy pedestrian access with minimal use of steps. And pedestrian routes within the site are identified by a change in the road surfacing material. A new pedestrian sidewalk is provided along Tunner Road, as mentioned earlier, which gives level access to the 6 units fronting the road. A separate pedestrian access is provided from Tunner Road, and this leads up to the shared bicycle parking and mailbox area. And then this links to a central shared space with seating and planting. And our landscape architect will discuss these in more detail in just a moment. In terms of waste management, with the exception of the 6 units fronting Tunner Road, waste management is contained within private garage spaces, and these spaces also accommodate vehicle parking, electrical charging points, and bicycle storage for each unit. Waste management storage serving the 6 units fronting Tunner Road is located externally within a discreetly positioned enclosure within the site. External mechanical and electrical equipment which will be necessary is located within dedicated rooms integrated into the design of the gable ends of the buildings, which will provide easy access for maintenance. And moving on to the landscape design and a quick introduction, in addition to the architectural design, the site is further enhanced by the creative landscape design, which maximises the retention of existing trees as well as their replacement with new trees and soft landscaping to mitigate tree removal and to create a natural and mature landscape. In addition, the existing landscape on the adjoining properties provides a mature backdrop to the site and its boundaries. So I think it's a good point now to hand over to Mackenzie, our landscape architect, to present her drawings. Over to you, Mackenzie.
Thanks, Nick. Okay, so yeah, on this site, we've attempted to retain any existing trees where possible. There are 22 trees being retained, and we're providing 60 replacement trees on site. As you can see, we've also attempted to provide each unit with a tree, and we've lined the internal roads with trees to provide shade and soften the visual experience. We have a central shared space which provides a grove of fruit trees and various types of seating. This area also ties into the entry of the site and a smaller shared space there. To get from space to space, we have provided a strip of stamped asphalt along the roads. This change in material designates pedestrian circulation and aids in traffic calming internally. One of the challenges of this site is the grading, which we are working with by providing 2 separate bioswales on the north and east ends of the site. And then in other areas, we're using terraced planting so as to reduce any large unsightly walls. Perfect, thanks. Planting is a mix of evergreen shrubs and hardy ground covers along units and terraced plantings. Visually interesting grasses and perennials in shared spaces, and flood and drought tolerant native and non-native plants within the rain gardens. You can go to the next slide. So we are providing fencing to separate the units, which is currently proposed as just typical aluminum fencing shown here. And then there are also plans to include an entry sign using natural materials similar to some of the seating features throughout the site. And then you can see here as well, we have just our typical bioswale design here, which we will be working with Civil to further detail out. But yeah, thank you. And with that, I'll just pass it back over to Maria.
Thank you, Mackenzie.
Okay, so I think that's everything from our side, and we will be happy to hear your comments and feedback. Thank you.
Great, thank you for your presentation. Okay, and so first off, to the panel members, does anyone have any questions for the city? Kate?
I have one again. Yeah. I noticed the 3-meter future right away for a sidewalk on the back side of the property. Is that long-term planning within the short term, or any idea? And is it the full 3 meters as well? Yeah.
Thank you, Kate. Through the chair, it was a SRW we are securing through the rezoning application. The intent is through future development from the properties to the north and south of this lot that we'll be able to connect the neighborhood to the north to the bus route that's located on Uplands.
Great, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, anyone else? Okay, great. So we'll open things up, and Kate, if you could please begin.
Great, get to be first today. Great, yeah, thank you for the presentation. It's great to see. Yeah, I have a couple of comments and recommendations. The first being, it looks like there's quite an extensive amount of impermeable surfacing between the asphalt and the concrete driveways. So my recommendation would be to consider permeable pavers, either for the roadway or for the private driveways, just to decrease that amount of impermeable surface. The second one would be the recommendation in the guidelines to have a continuous sidewalk through. It looks like there's a thought to add, it looks like a stamped asphalt treatment, but I'd recommend looking into the possibility of a proper sidewalk for accessibility. The next one being, I appreciate that there is this, like, as everyone knows, this existing site is filled with very mature, significant trees. And I appreciate there is some thought to their retention. However, I would recommend looking at the grades and the actual changes to them and the footprints, looking at the sections and the proposed extent of tree protection fencing, it is insufficient to actually properly retain these trees. And so I would recommend confirming that the trees being retained will actually be in good health to ensure that their critical root zones are protected. And currently it doesn't look like to me that this development would do that. In the same vein, I recognize that there's a request for a variance in the landscape setback on the north side. And again, there looks like there's significant mature trees on the neighboring property. And I would find it challenging to accept the variance without understanding the extent of the critical root zone of those neighboring trees into this property, as that change in the landscape setback variance could have a negative impact on the neighboring trees. So without more information, I don't know if I could say whether I recommend or not accepting that variance in the landscape buffer. Lastly, the programming for the shared courtyard space, I'd recommend looking at more actively programming it. It looks like there's like going to be great families living here, and would recommend just looking at providing more active programming, be that, perhaps a small child play area or something, just to really bring the community together instead of the proposed programming of just a couple of tables. Yeah, other than that, I think the development, it looks really, really nicely placed, and I really like the, the staggering roof line and kind of the cohesive feel of the development in general. So thank you.
Thank you, Kate. Okay, Alex?
Thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you for the presentation. I think it looks nice. When it comes to the height variance, I think that's fine in my opinion, because you got to maintain that cohesive roof line. You don't want to, flatten a roof just to make it conform with the height requirement. It's pretty minimal as well. So I think it looks really good. I like the color palette. I don't think it would hurt to add a little more color. But that color could come in the form of landscaping, like different flowering trees and things like that. But I like the kind of pastel, kind of earthy tones. And yeah, overall, I think it looks really nice. I think the massing is good. It'll fit in well with the existing neighborhood. I'll also echo what Kate said regarding a more dynamic programming of the public space. I do agree you want to maybe liven it up with some, whether it's a kids' play area or something that will work for people of all a broader age range. But yeah, I think it looks good, and thank you for the presentation.
Thank you, Alex. Okay, Harry?
Thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you for the presentation. I really like the look of this development. It's what we need, some good family homes in Nanaimo. My only comment would be it's a very prominent roof line. A good trade-off would be to get rid of the asphalt singles and go with a standing seam roofing system, because it's going to be very prominent, and asphalt's kind of like old school. I think that would look nice. But that is my only comment on this one. I think it's really nice. Thanks.
Thank you, Harry. Angie, please.
Thanks, Madam Chair, and thanks to the presenters for going through this with us. I don't have a whole lot of comments that haven't already been touched on. I really like the color palette. I think that the natural tones work really well here, and there might be some opportunities to maybe differentiate some of the buildings, but I think overall the tones chosen work really well in this area. I saw that some of the units have in series parking rather than parallel parking next to each other in the garages, and it's always tricky with those. I think just practically there's challenges there, but I do see that this is a really constrained site in terms of well, elevation, but also just there's a lot of units on the site, and I think that's great to get the more units in there. But yeah, I think wherever possible, having the 2 spots side by side is always a benefit. If there's opportunities that arise as kind of the design proceeds, that would be great to look at. Yeah, I think it was Kate that maybe mentioned about having kind of the defined pedestrian walkway, and I think that would be valuable here, just also to kind of prevent anybody from trying to park outside of the garage and blocking that pedestrian aisle. If it's well marked, then that'll help to create that accessibility for everybody. The height variance is, yeah, it's a tricky one. I see the reason for having it here, and I think that it is important to keep that consistent roof line. I think that there is, like, I do have some concern for the adjacent single family homes that are now having this is quite a high site compared to their yards, and there's quite a bit of overlook. So I think really considering ways to create some privacy barriers there and reduce that overlook and the appearance of these, quite high buildings compared to what's currently there. Of course, the neighborhood may change, in the future, but at least for the present time, there's quite a bit. This is quite a big development for that particular group of buildings that are in that adjacent area. So, yeah, just thinking about ways to break that up and to not have it be quite so intrusive to the neighborhood, particularly kind of on those back sides where you have adjacent homes. Otherwise, yeah, I think it's great. It looks really nice, and I think it was really really thoughtfully put together in terms of the form and character of it. So thanks a lot.
Okay, thank you, Angie. And Councillor Armstrong, please.
Oh, thank you. I just wanted to echo the comments that Kate and Angela made about the continuous sidewalk. I think the accessibility is very important. And the other thing that Kate said, which will be important to many of us on council, is the tree protection. So I think that needs to be really, when you come forward, needs to be really researched for us, because those will be concerns, I know, for a couple of my fellow council people. And I do also like the idea of having a more active playground area or something, because I think that would be great, because I don't believe there's anything that close enough for young kids to walk to. So, and again, I just want to thank the committee for their great input. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Councillor. Okay, and then just a comment from me, and also echoing Councillor Armstrong's comment and a few of the other panel members, but this is a site with 32 units for families, and it's quite a ways away for people to walk to places. And so to me, the amenity space could be larger and safer for families. Because right now it's next to a parking lot, next to a road. So I'm not sure how to resolve that, but perhaps the city would be willing to give a variance to remove a couple of the parking stalls and allow the expansion of that amenity space, so we can have like a little fenced area where kids can play and actually congregate, and where the apples can actually fall into a lawn where kids can eat them instead of having them fall into the road. By the way, I don't know who came up with the fruiting tree idea, but it's wonderful. I think it's such a playful and wonderful thing for a family-oriented space to have. It's a teaching opportunity, so that's wonderful. So that's my main comment there. I believe, unless anyone has anything to add, we appear to have 8 comments here this evening.
Madam Chair, do you mind if I jump in for a minute?
Yes, please go ahead, Peyton.
Thank you. I just wanted to clarify to Kate's comment previously about the landscape buffer variance. We have changed our bylaw requirements, so the landscape buffer variance noted in the letter of rationale is no longer required. The new landscape buffer requirement is 1.5 meters, and a landscape buffer is not required for properties abutting other residential properties. So I hope that that provides some clarity to your comment, Kate.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so 9 comments total. And panel members, please again correct me if I'm missing any of your comments. Okay, so starting with the first one, consider adding permeable pavers and other permeable surfaces to help with drainage and etc. Number 2, consider a continuous walking surface that doesn't crisscross the road. Okay, number 3, confirm the critical root zones, that they are protected, especially on the mature trees and nearby the neighbors. I'm assuming that the landscaping buffer, if you have a large mature tree near the property line, you still have to respect the root zone there. So just to consider that, even if it is in excess of the landscape buffer. Okay, item number 4, consider active programming for the amenity space and and consider a child play area. Piggybacking onto that, consider expanding the amenity space at the expense of parking stalls. Okay, number 6, adding additional color, potentially in the landscaping. It could also be just upping the saturation on, for example, the green or something, because it seems in the rendering, it looks like a very nice green, but when we look at the color palette on its own, it looks all very beige. So maybe just to bump that up a little bit could be a consideration. Number 7, consider standing seam metal roof. This is one that Harry brought up, and I think that's a wonderful idea. And also, it would make the site less prone to fire, which if there's a lot of mature trees, that would be really, really good, a good idea in this space. Okay, and number 8, consider privacy barriers to reduce the impact of the height variance. And I believe that's all. Angie, did I miss any more of your comments?
No, I think you hit all the main ones. I was just gonna add for the pedestrian walkway.
Mm-hmm.
I would say like I'm less so concerned. It's ideally it wouldn't cross the street, but I'm less concerned about that. But more so that it's just like clearly like marked. So it's a separate type of paver, separate type of pavement. So it's clearly marked for pedestrians through the site.
Okay, so consider a different type of paver or surface at the parallel stall. Okay,
Yeah.
so we can make that a separate additional one just so that it's distinct.
Sure, yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks, Marta.
Yeah, no problem. Okay, so those are 9 comments. So I don't have a clear picture of whether or not we're willing to accept the height variance this evening. We discussed the roof lines and the complexity of the topography on the site, and in some instances it was warranted with the recommendation of, providing additional barriers. And would that be enough for us to all agree that we can accept this variance, or would we like to see something else happen? Does anybody have any comments?
My only comment would be I wonder if when looking at retaining the trees, if that will change the grade and the proposed height variance. And so I don't know, but it's just something that comes to mind if that's the height is dictated on lowering the grade in certain areas, which would then impact the retention of the trees.
Okay. Okay. So in that case, can we accept this project as presented with these variances and these 9 recommendations? Can we go to motion? Okay, Harry and seconder.
I'll second.
Okay, I don't see, Cheryl, Councillor Armstrong, yes, okay, thank you very much, and all in favor? Okay, wonderful, thank you very much for your presentation, and thank you all for attending today's Design Advisory Panel. Can I have a motion to adjourn the meeting? Harry?
I go Harry.
Thank you, Councillor Armstrong. All in favor? Thank you very much. Have a great evening, everyone.
I always learn
Good
something.
night.